I think as women, we tend to not shout our stories. We tend to be very quietly strong when I think we have a great story to tell, and we shouldn't be ashamed of it, and we should be out there talking about what we can offer, and because we do have so much to offer. Hi there, I'm Irene Vasallo, and I'm the principal of Vasallo and Associates Private Wealth, and this is my journey as being a female founder. We are true holistic financial planners. We help improve the lives of our clients by helping them achieve new heights of financial success so they have the freedom to decide how they want to live both now and in their retirement. We do that through an intimate understanding of their current financial situation, their goals, their aspirations. What are their top three priorities? What keeps you up at night? What are you really excited about? And through there, we build them a comprehensive, personalized roadmap to where they want to go. It was a complete leap of faith. I graduated from University of Waterloo. My major was social developmental studies, and I was actually working at the bank at the time. And so when I graduated, it was the peak of the recession. There was no jobs in social work. However, all my family and friends said, "Hey, Irene, you got a great job. Just continue what you're doing." So I continued building my way up at the bank. And then at one point, I thought, I can't do this. I can't sit behind a counter. I can't sit behind a computer. There's a huge world out there, and I've got to go find it. So my husband now, who was my boyfriend at the time, he found an ad in the paper talking about financial consulting with IG Wealth Management. And I thought, okay. And he's like, Irene, it's got the same qualities that you have. You should really check this out. So I did. And that was 28 years ago. And here I am. I think one of the biggest highlights for me is just learning about yourself, learning about your unique ability. Everybody has a unique ability. You've got to find that, you've got to recognize it, and you've got to just continue to build it, express it. I think as women, we tend to not shout our stories. We tend to be very quietly strong when I think we have a great story to tell, and we shouldn't be ashamed of it, and we should be out there talking about what we can offer, and because we do have so much to offer. And starting so young in the business, and I was only 24 years old, fresh out of university, really had no idea what I was doing. Just wanted to do the best that I could and help people. Was really what the objective that I was after. And so at that time, and especially being in an industry that is traditionally male dominated, here comes this young female trying to save the world, and there was a lot of obstacles, as you can appreciate or you can imagine. And so then I started taking a lot of courses, a lot of sales training, a lot of education as to, okay, who am I? Where am I going to go? Why am I here? What do I have to offer? And I remember going to one session, and I forget the lady's name. I can still picture her in my mind. And she was young, and she was so energetic and enthusiastic and beautiful young lady that was up on that stage. And her group was called the Magellan Group. I do remember that. And she did come out and say, you know what, you got to use your attributes. So okay, you don't have the experience, you don't have the wisdom or the gray hair yet, but you know what, you've got your energy, you've got your enthusiasm, you've got all that ambition. Use that to your advantage. And I thought, okay, I can do that. I have all of that, and I have all of that to offer. So having that journey to really understand yourself, what is your priority, what's so important to you, what do you want to offer somebody else, that starts as you grow in your business and as you grow as a person, then you start to be very comfortable in your own skin, very confident, and be able to deliver and service others, because that's what I think we're all here to do. Is that I think we're put on this earth to serve other people. We're here to help bring the best out in someone else, and help that individual succeed as to where they want to go as well. So that would be the key one, I would say, is finding that unique ability and building that. Another highlight would be building a niche very respectfully, very elegantly in a traditional male dominated industry. So that's pretty cool. We've been in the top 2 to 3% of our nationally in our company over the last 14 years, so I'm pretty proud of that. Interesting. I don't talk a lot about that, and don't talk a lot about the awards and the accolades, because it's really all about the people and the relationships that you build with people. It's about touching people's lives. It's about making people feel that they're okay, providing them that confidence that they are going to be okay, helping them educate their children, purchase that first home, helping them ease them into retirement. What does that look like? Helping them buy their first house, You see all the great stuff, but you see all the other stuff. It's a full circle of life, and you see the other side of things as well, where people get sick, people die. So how are you prepared for that? And we help people prepare for that. Like we hold their hand in that journey because life happens, and we're there to help you navigate and especially that financial journey when life does happen. The key thing when I think about the awards and the accolades really comes down is the pride for me is my daughter. So I have a 16-year-old daughter, and so I tend to I talk downplay a lot of that kind of stuff. And when I come home and I'll say, oh, we always ask each other as a family, how was your day? What happened today? What was the highlights? What was the wins? Anything that we can help you with. And sure enough, then I'll make a comment, but very lightly or brush it under the table. And then it'll be my daughter that pipes up and go, hey, mom, that's really cool. Like that, you should be really proud of yourself, mom. That's pretty fantastic. So I would say for me, the highlight would be having my family understand what I do and be proud of me is probably one of the biggest highlights for me. Oh, I'm gonna get emotional as I say that. And certainly the privilege that our clients give us to allow them into their homes. Like I've had a lot of clients say to me, hey, Irene, you know more about me than my family does. So to be able to watch people, I love people. I love to sit and people watch. I love to make up stories. I love to watch their actions. I love to hear what they have to say because everybody has a story. And my opinion is that you need to be kind and respectful for each other because you just don't know what that other person's going through. And to be able to watch people's stories, to be able to watch their journey, to be able to tell stories and say, hey, you know what, you're not alone. By experience, this is what I've seen before. So having that honor and that privilege to be in people's homes and watch that journey allow me to walk with them and allow me to help in any way that I can. That's a huge highlight for me. Oh, there's several. My biggest challenge probably is me. I think we're our own worst critics, and my personality flaw, but it is also I would say is what made me succeed is I'm incredibly stubborn, stubborn, pig-headed. And some people will say that that's perseverance instead of being stubborn. And I would never fail. I've never failed at anything in my life, and there was no way I was going to fail at this. And I guess what a challenge that goes right along with that would be people telling you couldn't do it. So when you have the ability, the drive, the passion, and you know that you can, I guess if I look back on it, I probably had all of that, but I would really describe it as being stubborn and pig-headed. It's like, okay, well, if you say I can't do it, you just watch me go because I'm gonna prove you wrong. So just ourselves, like, don't be we're often our own hurdle. So get over that and really have that introspection and really understand what your priorities are. Find that unique ability and certainly move on. Second one for me was being in a male-dominated industry. Like when I first started, and it doesn't feel that long ago, when I walked into the office and I sat down at a table beside all my male counterparts, I was one of three females at that time. And one guy actually looked at me and said, Irene, you're in a male's world now, so act like a man. And that was so foreign to me. I was brought up in a European family. My parents are Portuguese. My dad never treated us like that. I'd never felt that way through any of my part-time jobs, through university. I'd never been faced with that kind of attitude before. I knew it existed, but I hadn't experienced it. So to have somebody actually say that to me and judge me because I'm a woman, and I was different from what they were, like that was mind-boggling. And the year later, I was at a training session, and sure enough, we were always taught to network, get out there, talk to people. And so I walked into a complete stranger's table with my lunch, and I was going to sit there in between training sessions. And the one, I was going to say gentleman, but he was obviously not a gentleman because he just looked up at me and said, "Sorry, you can't sit here." And I said, "Well, oh," and I thought he was joking. I'm like, "Okay, well, why can't I sit here?" And he's like, "Because this is a man's table." Well, I started to laugh. I laughed and I sat down because I thought the guy was joking. And he's like, "No, I'm serious. Like, you can't sit here because it's a man's table." And like the rest of the table were all men, and they just sat there with their jaws like at the table. And I thought, oh well, I didn't want to sit here anyways, and off I went to find something else to sit. But like those kind of attitudes, it's like, wow, like I couldn't believe the fact that somebody wouldn't even get to know me, like didn't know who I was or what I could offer. Like if I was incredibly annoying, I could understand why you wouldn't want me to sit at your table. But the fact that I was a woman and I couldn't sit there because it was a man's table, it's like, what? Complete foreign concept to me. So that's a big deal. That was one of the biggest challenges I had to get over. Being young in a business of males who are typically older, gray hair, that whole thing, whole shebang. So that was a big challenge for me too. But knowing being part of that one session where we talked about the unique ability, the youth, the energy, the enthusiasm, then that's what got me through that for sure. One big one in our, I was going to say in our industry, but I think it's pretty much everywhere globally, is noise. Oh my gosh, we have so much access to information from so many channels, whether it's media, whether it's people, whether it's strangers, people's unbiased or unconscious biases. So we're in a world that, in my opinion, is absolutely incredible. Like the amount of opportunity that people have, the ability to be able to be who you want to be and really strive to be the best person you can be. I think that the world today is probably in the best place that we've ever been when it comes to that type of opportunity. However, coming with that and the tremendous amount of knowledge and information that we have access to, so whether it's the internet, whether it's the media, whether it's social media, to be able to consciously understand the right information and to sift through all that noise to get to what is truly important and the answer that you're looking for, that's a skill. And so the more that you can do that, the more that you can help educate people so that they understand what that true answer is, providing perspective. Like history is never a prediction of the future or a guarantee of what the future is going to look like, but at least we can get some perspective as to what is it. In my business, it'll be financial markets. So, okay, things are cyclical. Let's have a look back. Let's go back right till 1924. I can show you charts. I can show you when inflation was up, when interest rates were up. How does that affect the markets? How does that affect the economy? How does it affect you and your particular plan? And having that, I can't stress this enough, is that having a plan in place in everything, but I'll more point towards us would be that financial plan. Like you need that roadmap, because if you don't know where you are and you don't know where you want to go, how can you measure that success? And so when you have all this noise that surrounds you constantly, then if you have that roadmap, you can go, oh, well, it doesn't really matter what happens tomorrow because this is where I'm going to be in 3, 5, 10 years. And really, does it really matter if interest rates went up yesterday? Well, yeah, it kind of sucks today because it's a little bit painful, but is that going to be like that for the rest of my life, for the rest of my journey? Probably not. So I would encourage people to, yes, be conscious, understand what's happening, watch. I shouldn't say watch, but really I very much enjoy reading all that stuff, but just don't get sucked in. I guess that's the best word to say it is make sure that you understand what your opinion is, what you're truly looking for. And if you can't find the answers with all the noise that is happening out there, please seek out the right experts in that particular field to be able to help you provide with that perspective as well. So the number one piece of advice I would give is make sure that you hire for where you want to go and where you want to be versus where you are today. Because there's going to be a different skill set with the team members that you want. For us, it's very, very important that everybody is a dynamic fit. We have an incredible team of experts that, most importantly, we have each other's back. So we want to build a world. I want to say, I'm going to call it utopia. I'm very much in the thought process of just because it hasn't been done before doesn't mean it can't be done. And just because it's done like this all the time doesn't mean it can't be changed. So like, why can't we build our own utopia? So what does that look like? What does that mean? What is the office environment like? When my team members wake up in the morning, I want them to be excited to come to work. I want them to go, hey, oh cool, I'm going to the office today. Not, oh my God, I have to get out of bed. I don't want that. I want them to be excited to come to work, excited to be with each other. No, everybody's got their own roles and responsibilities, but we all roll up our sleeves to get the job done if we need to. They know that and most importantly, that we have each other's back. Because if we have that type of supportive environment within our team members, then it's just going to be automatic that that's how we're going to treat all of our clients. And so number one in anything that we do is our client is our central and our commitment. And so it's always about the best interest of the client. And so when everybody understands that, and sometimes that means it's after hours that you need to go pick up a document, or perhaps the client needs to show up with something and needs to drop something off to us, or they can't make it in, so we have to go to them. So we have to have people that have that mentality, that aren't that that just don't come in to check a box. That it's all about, okay, I'm here for a purpose. What is that purpose? So you want to make sure that they understand your mission statement. You have to have a mission statement. I guess we should start there, is make sure you know what you're doing. Like, well, what's your purpose and what are you trying to accomplish? And then you have to build that. We build the mission statement, our vision statement, our definition of our ideal client, our purpose as to why, what do we want to do for clients? Why are we there? And everybody's got to buy into that. If they don't, then I'm going to tell you that they may work for a period of time, but then at some point that either the toxicity is going to start, or you're going to have to get rid of that individual, or they're just going to leave. So if you want to build a long-term team that truly wants to be there, that truly appreciates the team and really takes care of your clients, then they have to be that dynamic fit. You want to hire for unique ability. Everybody's got their unique ability, and you don't necessarily. I think it's important to hire different personalities as well, because even though you have more diversity within the team, you have different expertise, you have different skill sets. People are going to love to do one thing better than another. Once they get into that role, they might enjoy a different role instead, or perhaps there's 3 things they're supposed to do, but they really shine in the one. So you want to be able to build that. You want to provide the ability for continuous learning, professional development. It's like, what excites you? Like, it's the same thing we ask our clients. What are your top 3 priorities? What are you excited about? What keeps you up at night? You want to have those same conversations with your team members as well, so that you always continuously have that dynamic fit. Oh, yes, yes. So there's 2 major things that I would recommend that people start with right away. And if you are starting your own business, understand what it is to be a business owner. So that's number one, because that would be probably one of my largest challenges, is thinking that all I was going to be was a financial advisor and help people achieve their financial goals. And then as you become successful, you need that support team. So if you want to go where you want to, if you want to be able to achieve your goals, then you're going to need that support system right away. So understand what it is to be a business owner. Oftentimes being a business owner, you're the CEO, you're the HR department, you're everything, and you're also the business developer and the financial planner at the same time. So understand that, so that things will be much easier for you to make the decisions with that kind of mindset from day one, versus just thinking, oh no, I'm just going to be a financial planner and everything else will take care of itself. And that it's going to be a hard road if you do it that way. So really understand what it means to be a business owner and what it means in that type of role, and who you need to surround yourself in order to be successful immediately, or as soon as possible. The second thing that I would do, or I would recommend, is build that center of influence, a network group as soon as possible. So figure out who that, in my business, it would be lawyers, accountants, real estate agents. Like, look at all these different industries that work well with each other. I would certainly seek out people that are your similar personalities, similar age, similar spot in their career or in their professional development as well. And then just help each other grow and build each other's businesses up. Learn, teach each other okay, so who's your ideal client? What are you looking for? Perhaps provide them a script and say, okay, so you don't have to worry about trying to find that client for me. Here's kind of some key points, or a script that you could use, or an email that you could send them, or a letter. Perhaps I could be on your newsletter. Do you have any type of social media that maybe I could be featured once as your professional advocate? How can I refer you? What are you looking for? Reciprocity is very important. You can't be a giver all the time, and you can't be a taker all the time. Like, you need a little bit of both in order for a relationship to work. So certainly build that center of influence network as quickly and as soon as possible. So certainly that's evolved over time. When I first started the business, again, I was quite young, but I was born and raised in Kitchener. So I thought, okay, so who are people that I haven't accessed, but I'm sure I know a ton of people about being born and raised here. So what I did, and at that time was quite popular, were trade shows and were booths. They nicknamed me the booth queen in our office, because I was out all the time. All the time, any trade show that was there, anywhere that I could get my face out there, because I'm thinking, if I'm there in the community, I'm going to recognize people, they're going to recognize me, and what a phenomenal opportunity, especially for me to go up market. Because when you're 24, 25 years old, there isn't a lot of 24, 25-year-olds out there that have a tremendous amount of money or need a tremendous amount of financial planning. They just need to start something. And then it became, okay, so if I want to start to build on my skill set and use my skill set, I need to be in a different, launch into a different demographic, for lack of better words. And oftentimes when you start businesses, there isn't a lot of money. So I would always look for freebies and thought, okay, so every Saturday at that time in the KW record, there was a whole listing of events that were happening the following week. So I would look at that religiously, and thank goodness my dad had a subscription to the record, so I didn't have to pay for it. And so I would look and see it. So whatever was free, I would do myself. So I would call the organizer and say, hey, could I set up a table? I'll give a prize away. I'll do a raffle. This is what I would like to do. Set up some information, educate the public. What do you think? Can I come on board? And I never got a no. Then when it was a little bit more expensive, then I would find a partner in the office and say, hey, do you want to partner with me on this? I didn't want too many people involved because that brings drama, as we all know. So I was trying to keep it as simple as possible. There were some of the bigger trade shows that the office was involved in, so we'd all pitch in and we'd all have different shifts at the trade shows. So that was huge for me because one thing I'm very proud about is I've never made a cold call my entire career. So that would have been the most of the cold call, was the fact that I had a chance to have a conversation with them at the booth, got them to fill out a ballot for whatever raffle we were doing, had a conversation about what we did, what was important to them, and then as soon as they left, I would make notes on that so I wouldn't forget, and then I would call them and I would follow up the following day. So that really helped out quite a bit, was the booths. And the second thing, and we still that happens to us quite often now, is referrals. I'm very, very proud to say that we have built our business from day one, from client number one, organically. All between the booths and now is all referrals that come through. There has been no merger or acquisition. I've tried a few times and it didn't work out for me, unfortunately. But I can sit in front of you proudly now, telling you it's all been organic, one client at a time. So that's pretty exciting. So definitely referrals are big for us. Another thing that has happened lately for us would be seminars. We've done some public seminars. Prior to COVID, they were in person. During COVID, we did some virtually, and I'm not a virtual person. To stand in front of a computer, like I need people's energy. I need to talk to people. I need to see people's faces. I need to see their eyes. I need to see their smiles. And so the virtual thing's not for me. So but the public seminars has worked out very, very well for us as well. Media has. One of my key goals when I first started was to be a brand name in the Kitchener, Waterloo, Cambridge community, as if you needed any type of financial advice, you go see Irene Vasallo. And so I did a lot of clips on local TV. I did the financial planning tip of the day on the radio stations for many, many years. I do lots of sponsorships. Now we're very strategic, knowing what our mission, vision statements are, our ideal clients. We align ourselves with our community partners in order to that demographic that we're looking for. So we do a lot of sponsorships with the chamber, both in KW and in Cambridge as well. Volunteer opportunities. Prior to getting married, I volunteered a lot, was on a lot of board of directors, built some pretty fantastic relationships that I still call my friends today. They're still clients today as well. Then, of course, you get married, you have kids, you're still running a business, there's not a whole lot of time. So then you give back financially in those periods of time. And then as my kids started to get a little bit older and I had a little bit more time, so now it becomes, okay, so the volunteer opportunities start to switch or shift, I guess, into kids activities. And it's like, okay, so, it's more dealing with schools, being on school councils. And then eventually my kids are now 16 and 9. So they're starting to get to an age that they're more independent. So after that, that'll start to become, okay, where else am I going to go in the community? So we're starting to shift our lenses. But again, anything that we do moving forward, it's all about impactful. How are we going to impact people's lives? How it's got to be meaningful. And now I think about is legacy. It's like, what kind of legacy can we leave behind in a community that has been so good to us, and I'm so grateful for that. I love Kitchener Waterloo. I was born and raised in Kitchener. My family is here. My immediate family. I have two older sisters. My dad unfortunately passed away a few years ago, but my mom is here. Brian and I, my husband, we've built our family here. We have phenomenal universities. We have everything. Like, I think we're in the middle, and you can drive to Toronto if you want more entertainment or more shopping. You can drive to London if you want to. In my opinion, I don't know why I would ever move. I will never move. I don't think. I've been able to watch the city grow. It's been a beautiful experience to watch everything. Like, what we went from Kitchener being such a thriving manufacturing town, and then it was Waterloo, and that became, now we're the Silicon of the North. So it's very proud. Like, I'm very proud when I say to people, yeah, I live in Kitchener and the Waterloo region, and they're like, oh yeah, and they start to pinpoint, oh, so it's University of Waterloo, or they'll start naming certain things. So I'm very, very fortunate and very grateful to be here. I think it's an amazing And I've heard other people say it, is that even though there's been so much growth, I think there's so much more growth to happen, but we still are a community. People are still friendly, they're happy, they want to help each other. uh, the more you get involved in the community, the more you build those relationships, you build those friendships. And I'm truly grateful. I'm grateful that a community is one of our core values, and being able to give back to a community that has given us so much is one of our major things that we love to do as well. So yeah, I can't imagine being anywhere else. We have several values, but I'd say our top four would be family, number one. I know I was often told early in my career that, oh, Irene, you take things too personal. It's only business. And then as you grow up that way, you start to get a little bit callous, for lack of better words, or jaded. However, I don't believe that, because when you deal with people, that is personal. Like you have that connection with somebody. You either do or you don't. And if you don't, you shouldn't be working with that person, number one. Because how do you build that trust in order to ensure that that person is going to help you succeed? And so for us, family, so on a personal basis, family is number one to me. Although I'm very proud of what I've built, I'm very proud of um, what we've established, what we stand for, how we can help other people. First and foremost, I'm a wife and I'm a mother. And hands down, if my family needs me, that's where I go. That's been frustrating in the past because there's been lots of things I'd want to do on the professional and the career side. However, tomorrow, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, and this could all be taken away from us tomorrow. But the one thing that you always know is that your family's there. Your family will always have your back. And and I think one of the key things that helped, along with the Magellan Group lady that I talked about earlier, with the energy and the enthusiasm, the other key exercise that I went through that really changed my perspective and changed my life was the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. So I didn't read the book. I was actually, that's the days of the CDs in the car. So I was driving and I was listening to this one exercise. And then as he takes you through the exercise, and if you haven't done it, it's old, but you should do it because it's super, super effective and highly impactful. And so you go through this exercise, and really what he's doing is he's trying to get you to determine what your definition of success is. Excuse me. And so when I went through that, I think about this often, and I think, wow, like, what do I want people to write on my tombstone? That I've been a perennial sales leader and she won all these awards? No, I want on my tombstone. Well, I won't have one, but when people think of me when I pass away, I want them to go, wow, you know what? When Irene walked in the room, I could feel her warmth. She put a smile on my face. Like, she was always there to help me. Like, she knew what she was talking about. Like, she was the first one to stand by me. She got my back. Like, that's what my definition of success is. So when you look at all of this, and you add that personal into your professional, then we add that to the professional side and say, okay, so if family is so important to me, you know what? Your family is important to me. I want that whole intergenerational transfer of wealth, for lack of better words. I want grandparents, I want parents, I want children, I want grandchildren, because I want to keep that whole family together. Because isn't that incredible if you have an advisor that has an associate there for every one of those life stages, and you don't have to go anywhere else, that person's been with you, and you've built that trust and you've built that relationship with that individual. Because if it's so important for me to take care of my family, I want to make sure that my team and their families are taken care of, and then we want to make sure that you and your family is taken care of. So family is very, very important as one of our core values, for sure. Second one is collaborative. Like, again, I'd love to tell you that I know everything, which I don't. So but I know where to go find the resources, where I know to go find those experts. So you need to collaboratively work together in order to make sure that any plan succeeds. So collaborative is very, very important to us as well. Trust, that probably should be number one, is trust, especially with money. Like, you need to make sure that you trust the individual who's holding your money, and is holding your life savings and your goals and your retirement and your whatever your goal ends up being, whether it's a house, whether it's educating your kids, whether it's taking care of your children, whether it's a legacy. I've built all this wealth. Now what do I do with it? How do I protect it? Am I going to be okay? So you need to have that trust with that individual and that team and that group of people in order to ensure that you can succeed. And then I would say the last one that's very important to us is community. I'm a big believer that when you're good to yourself, you're good to your family, you're good to your community, that success will just find you. And community to us, as I mentioned previously, was that we are so grateful for everything that the community has done for us, and especially in the Kitchener-Waterloo area at Cambridge, like the amount of programs that you can access and free or next to nothing for so many individuals. That doesn't matter what demographic or what life stage that you're in, that they offer is pretty incredible. So we certainly, everything that we do, we always want to give back to our community as well, because I think that's quite important. Success to me is happiness, very much so. First and foremost, happiness, harmony, fulfillment, because there's got to be more. When I first started this business, I thought success was money. Like as long as you were financially okay and you had money, you were fine. And then if you quickly start to learn that money is important, but what money does is it provides you resources, it provides you flexibility, it provides you choices. So that's where you want that financial success. And when I talk about that privilege of being into somebody's home and watching their lives and them from getting married to retiring and to passing away, and you start to see people who are very successful in retirement, those that aren't. And then you start to watch why. Like, why did this person love retirement? This person hated it. And a year later, they're passed away. And then you think that it's not just about finances. That's an important piece of it. But then you have to be physically okay. You have to be mentally okay. You have to be stimulated. You need to build that support system around you. Um, all of those come in to build that definition of success. Everything that we do now, it's got to be meaningful. It's got to be impactful. I think a lot about legacy and what are we leaving behind. And when you're in a position, our position, I guess, for lack of better words, is that you are in such a position of influence and you could do so much good for other people. So just being able to see people succeed, other people succeed. I think that's so cool. Like and if you had a part of that, it's like, wow, that's certainly success. On a personal basis, I'd say being a mom, like watching these little people and they're growing up and they have an incredible sense of humor. And I had a huge, a successful moment last year is we took our both our children to one of our work conferences and I watched them interact with my business colleagues. And I was so proud of them because there they are. And my colleagues were so good. And they came up right away. Oh my God, Irene, these are your kids. And, they would introduce themselves and they'd ask them about, what their names were and how they were doing. And my kids were right there, big smiles on their faces, shaking their hands, looking at them straight in the eye. They were so articulate. And you could see the stunned look on some of the adults' faces, like, oh my God, these kids talk. And it was just, as a parent, Brian and I just kind of disappeared in the background. Like they were just so engaged with my children. And just to watch them succeed, watch them to work hard, it's a big deal for me. And I would say, I shouldn't say more, like I want both of my kids to succeed. But I think in our world, it still might be a little bit more difficult for my daughter versus my son. And so when I see that and I can see her, she has her own goals and she works hard towards them. And then I keep thinking, well, we try to lead by example and I want to be that role model and I want to be that mentor. And, I started all this thinking I was going to be super mom. I was going to be super mom. I was going to be the best mom in the world. And I was going to be the best business lady in the world. And oftentimes what happens is you sacrifice a lot of yourself. Something's got to give because you can't be all of that, all to everybody. So you oftentimes sacrifice yourself. So when you see your children and you watch them succeed, like I have to say that's probably one of the biggest successes that I've seen. And I guess the other one would be my mom. My mom, like she was an immigrant lady from Portugal, came to a brand new country, didn't know the language, was brand newly married, and she built a life. She built a life for her family, and we've all done very, very well because of her. So I watch that. I watch her. And I watch all the strong women influences that I've had in my life. And I think, wow, and it makes me very proud when I can say, hey, we've done it. We've accomplished that goal. I'd say my biggest inspiration is probably my children. Is when I guess I always thought as being a mom is that it was up to me. It was my job as an adult that I would have to not mold them, but to show them the right way, right? And then they can decide when they were adults. And I never thought that they would actually make me laugh. Like, oh wow, like they haven't said. I thought I had to entertain them. I never thought that they'd be the ones entertaining me. And watching that naivety, that innocence, the thoughts, the ideas, the way that they look at the world, the way they just have fun. Like we always talk about like dance like nobody's watching. Well, where do we lose that? When you're a kid, it happens all the time. You're goofy. They scream, they laugh, they play, they jump around, and then it's okay for a certain life stage, and then all of a sudden the cap comes on. And it's like, well, who made that cap, and why do we have that cap? Why can't we just go outside and jump around and have fun and laugh and giggle? And people would look at us that we're crazy. However, but maybe a little bit of that crazy is okay too. So I would say that when I watch, and actually what I think is that if our children ruled the world, we'd be in a much better place than what we are today. So I think just taking that time to really watch them and understand them. Kids are so smart, and the way they look at things is just so beautiful, and we need to get some of that back. So I have to say, certainly my kids and their friends, I'm very, Brian and I are both very, very involved in present parents, and intentionally, because there's so much going on that I want to make sure that they're okay, and their influences are okay around them. And just watching their network of friends and who they build, and again, the articulate and how they deal with each other, how they talk to us, like it's really cool. Like some people are so worried about where our world is going, and I would say to you, just look at these children. Like the generations that are coming up, they're amazing. They're going to do some pretty interesting, cool, phenomenal things to help this world continue to succeed. So certainly kids, my kids and their generations, I have to say that they inspire me very, very much. Of course, my mom, that her being a immigrant coming to Canada, brand new country, brand new language, brand new marriage. She was only 20 years old, had no idea, but that was what they needed to do in order to make a better life for them and their family. So when I think of the strength and I think of this courage, I think of how much my mom, she was always there. Like it didn't matter. She was there to stick up for us. It didn't matter. Like I remember her telling us the one time, well, she would walk into school, and if she didn't like something, she would be right up in the principal's face. It's like, that's not the way it's supposed to be, and my kid's not going to do that. So I come from a pretty long line of very strong women. So I'm very, very grateful for that. And certainly my mom is one of my biggest inspirations as well. And my husband, oh my gosh, like he's my rock. He's my biggest critic, but also my biggest supporter at the same time. So I never have to. He's also my consultant. And so anytime I have an idea, I always say, "Okay, Brian, what do you think?" I use him, and I actually use my kids as focus groups. And I think, okay, here's a marketing idea, or this is what I'm thinking, or here's 3 or 4 ads. What do you guys think? And I get each one of their opinions, and to see the differences, and watching them look at things in a different lens. I always find that really amazing. So certainly my family very much inspires me. Number one is trust your gut. Your gut is always going to tell you what the right path is to do or where to go. So obviously, if everything looks great, but then all of a sudden your gut starts to go off, that means that there's a red flag somewhere. So always, always trust your gut. Never ignore it. Second, be prepared to work hard. Like I think that if you are truly passionate about something, regardless if everybody out there is telling you no, 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 you can't do it, use that as your motivation to show them that you can. Be realistic about it. So I would say, uh, listen to your heart, but listen to your head, but follow your heart. Because if there's that true passion, you don't want to you want that to continue to ignite. There's always going to be a naysayer. There's always going to be critics that are out there. But if you truly believe that you're doing the right thing for yourself, your family, your community, then you always will be successful. In my thinking. And then get outside that box. There's so many cool and exciting things that are out there that we can achieve, that we can look at. And don't be afraid to fail. Be kind to yourself. We're all going to fail at some point, and that's okay. So how do you know that you're going to succeed, or how can you measure success if you don't know you failed every once in a while? So, and I guess along with that, make sure that you build that right support system. That is so important. The energy, the opinions, the mindset that you have, that you surround yourself with, that's what's going to help you continue to succeed. In my opinion, relationships shouldn't be hard. Certainly that which is worth having is worth working for. However, when you're in a relationship and you're constantly butting heads, in my opinion, that's not right. Like you should be like, there's always going to be ups and downs with everything that you do. However, things should be much easier, and things should fall into place a little bit easier than always butting heads with somebody. So make sure that support network is solid and that you're in a place that people truly believe that they're helping bring out the best in the next individual so that they can continue to grow. And don't get stuck. Step out of that box and don't get stuck. There's a really interesting, fun, so many good things that are happening out there in the world, and it's up to us to go find it. Oh, so many cool things. I want exponential growth. I get so excited when I think about all the opportunities, so many things we want to go. I think of all the complex situations that are out there, and I want to make them easy for people. So you hear so many terms, especially in the financial industry. There's so many acronyms. Every day you watch the Dow go up, you watch it go down, and you see all these arrows. You see red, you see green, you see the acronyms of the stocks. And so all of that can be so simple, really, because it really comes down to, am I okay and do I have enough, and will my family be okay? And so I love taking all that complex, and whether you're a business owner trying to figure out how you're going to do business succession planning, whether you're a farmer and you're like, oh, I have 4 kids and one person wants the farm, the other 3 don't, how do I equalize my estate? Or how do I use that participating insurance policy that's going to help me build my estate, but also ensure that I can use it today? How do I plan for that long-term care in case I get sick? So all of that kind of stuff, and just building all those pieces of the puzzle together, but then bringing it back to you and saying, here you go. Here, you're going to be okay, and here's all the reasons why you're going to be okay. So very exciting about that exponential growth, learning more about complex situations with different people. Building client focus groups. I've always wanted to do that. And I love talking to people. I love getting their opinion. I want to be in a position where, whether it's a social media strategy, whether it's upgrading the website, whether it's doing something different with a certain product, like I want to be able to have, a key group of clients that we go to and say, hey, let's meet on a quarterly basis. And here's some of the stuff that we're thinking about. What do you think? Do you like it? Do you want to see that? What do you want to see more of? What would you like to see less of? Building that client board of directors. Here's the vision and the strategy of the firm. Like, what do you think? Is that where you think we should go? What about your opinions? And kind of building different demographics, different industries, different professionals in certain industries, building out more of that center of influence network as well. And how do we do that? Having more specialty type of events for our clients and their family and friends as well, so that they can come and have fun, and we can be introduced to them at the same time. So there's a lot going on up there. Every day there's a lot of fun, and I see a lot of cool things in the future. What you can always expect from us is our true commitment to our client and helping our client succeed. So when you come to us, you are going to have the most incredible financial planning experience with a team of experts that genuinely care about you and your family and helping you achieve what your definition of financial success is. Super easy. You can just go right onto our website at www.irenevassallo.com.